Now, if you look across Sydney's skyline today, you'll notice a very clear atmosphere. It doesn't look like there's much smog or much pollution. And it appears that good people of China want some of that. Well, how about this? We're going to sell it to them. We are going to sell it to them. John Dickinson is the man who's come up with this idea. Joins us this morning. G'day, John.
Good morning, how are you?
Well, I'm looking outside here. I'm looking right across the western suburbs. I can see maybe a little touch of smog in some patches, but basically a completely clear sky.
Absolutely.
The Chinese want it, apparently.
Well, mate, absolutely. I mean, the reality is it's really difficult for, I think, a lot of people that live in Australia and New Zealand to grasp this, because a lot of people, we're just so used to looking up and seeing beautiful, clear blue sky. But, you know, the reality is that there's a lot of the world that doesn't have that luxury. And they're living in places that is anything but that. And, you know, the reality is that pure clean air and that feeling that people get from that pure clean air is becoming a commodity. And that's really why we're here.
So you are going to literally sell air in a can. How does it work?
Quite literally, yeah. Well, it's look, you know, it was important to us to actually, we've been working on this for some time, probably 12 months or maybe a little bit more. And it was really important for us to do a couple of things. It was one, to bring a product to the market that we could actually validate and was real. And it was also very important to us to promote Australia and New Zealand in the process, because we just think they're the two best places on earth. So those were the mantras that we had. Those were the two things that we wanted to do. But the actual science behind doing it was not an easy thing to do. You know, a lot of people, I think, have a vision of us running around with nets or with glass jars. It's actually...
Well, you just could create a can with nothing in it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. But how it's done is actually, we do guard that, because it actually took quite a bit of time. It took the help of a mechanical engineer to actually crack that code. But essentially, it's all about a specialised built piece of machinery that's very much like a compressor, if you like, that over time we developed into a portable unit where we can literally take these units, we call them portable or mobile air farming units, and we can quite literally take those almost anywhere we like and source pure air from the location that we're at. And we actually force that air into cans or containers right on location.
Where do you get it from?
Well, at the moment, we're adding labels all the time, but places like Tasmania, Southern Alps of New Zealand, we have Bondi, we have Gold Coast, we have the Blue Mountains, soon to add Yarra Valley. We'll also be doing areas in WA and South Australia as well, but it's really about locations that are, you know, very special locations, I suppose, from a pristine perspective, but also from an iconic perspective.
And look, I haven't been to Beijing, but I've certainly spoken to many people who have, right. And you know, it actually is no joking matter. The quality of their air is deplorable.
And that's where the idea stemmed from. My partner Teo in the business goes to China quite regularly, and would always talk to me about, you know, being in places. You mentioned Beijing. That's a good example, because on a bad day in Beijing, you can't see across the street. You know, it's hard to imagine, but it's that bad, and that causes, you know, he would always say that he would have, you know, eyes would be watering, throat would be swollen, and just feeling generally sick, and how horrendous it is for people that actually have to live in those locations.
So for the user who buys the can, it's worth $18.80. How do they use it? What, just spray it in their mouth?
Okay. So that actually took a bit of development too, but essentially the cans have a special cap on them, and the cap, they take the cap off and basically put that on the end of the nozzle, and that fits over their mouth and nose. It's actually purposely built for that purpose. So they're not just spraying an aerosol around the room or anything. Actually, they get to take it, you know, right in that way. So all of that took quite a bit of development. It wasn't something that happened overnight. And as I was saying, it was really important to us to actually produce a product that, you know, we understand it's very, very different, but it's quite meaningful as far as we're concerned. And people who are using the product in places like China, they love it. They absolutely say that they love having that sort of fresh air on them, and it makes them feel better. And you know what? If it makes them feel better, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Aussie innovation at its best. Good luck with it, John.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to come on.
John Dickinson, who is the co-founder of Green and Clean. So he's literally invented a can of fresh air. And they grab the air from the Blue Mountains, Bondi, down in Tassie as well, the Yarra Valley. They send it to the Chinese. So, you know, when you're walking along Beijing, a street in Beijing, you see some bloke walking around with a can in his mouth, you know where it's come from.